Hello, I'm PJ Bishop. Welcome to my channel and the ongoing series with the Oakland A's. You can see here it's September 1st, 2024. We're sitting at 48-88. That is a terrible record. At 35.3 winning percentage, 29 games back out of the division. I would say we're pretty much all but eliminated. And worst team in the AL. Even though we beat the White Sox, it's kind of our only glory right now. Surprisingly, the Yankees are down there too, 61-75. Very surprised to see that. Not quite what's happening in real life. But yeah, it's been a rough stretch for us. I think we're currently riding a 12-game losing streak. Let me see if I can find it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yes, a 12-game losing streak. So it's been really rough. Kind of wish we had the White Sox every day. That would have been nice. That's been our hottest moment of the year. 3-game win streak against the White Sox, and then we've kind of disappeared. But it's okay. I wasn't expecting great things from this team anyway. It's more of a build this team up year by year until we finally have something we can be proud of. Of course, September is here, which means rosters have expanded, and you really have two things going on. If you're competing for a playoff spot or division title, you're playing your best players as possible and trying to get that going for you. If you're like me and you're obviously out of the race, you're trying to figure out what your roster is going to look like next year, who to keep, who to send down, who to call up to start getting them some playing time and figuring out whether they're good or not. And that's now for me. That's the route I'm going, where it's time to figure out who is actually good for me heading to next year. August 7th, second baseman Zach Gelof did suffer a setback and did miss about another additional 1 to 2 weeks. So that kind of hurts. I was trying to get him to 100 stolen bases. I don't think he'll get that this year due to the nearly a month off from playing. On August 9th, left-hander TJ McFarland has been waived and designated for assignment. My longtime mop-up duty guy, all season long, finally got waived. August 27th, second baseman Darrell Hernandez placed on the 10-day IL with a hamstring strain. He's expected to miss 3 to 4 weeks, so possibly out for the rest of the season. Just curious to see how he was playing. Pretty much at this point, all we're missing is some pitchers who are out for the rest of the year. A couple of guys made no appearance for me at all. So it'll be nice to have them come back sometime next year. Darrell, though, he's kind of slowed down. What's hurting him, he wasn't getting any extra base hits for a while, or getting on base. You're not doing that well when your slash line is pretty much even all across the board. When your slugging is barely better than your average, you're not doing much. And he wasn't doing much. A well below average OPS suggests that this is a little hard for him at the moment. A little sad to see him injured for probably the majority of the month, which means he won't get to develop, unfortunately. So we'll see him probably back. Hopefully he's healthy enough. He should be healthy for the development lab. But he's definitely part of my future. I see him as part of my future. He's got the skill set. He just needs more at-bats. Let's see here. What do we do? I did end up activating Zach Gelof. And then right-hander Joe Boyle activated from the IL, and I moved him to the bullpen. Starting was too much of a struggle for him. I just don't think the control is ever going to get to the point to where his stuff will get to play. Left fielder. So again, beginning of the month, I called up a lot of guys. Left fielder Lazaro Armenteros recalled from AAA Las Vegas. It's one of those things. Try to get the young guys in. Try to get them to play and figure out what the roster is going to look like next year. Right-hander Mitch Spence has been released and returned to the Yankees. He was a Rule 5 pick. Not doing well enough for me to stay on the rest of the year. So he's been sent back to the Yankees. Right-handed pitcher Osvaldo Bido, who was a starter. Bullpen guy, moved to starter. Was demoted to AAA Las Vegas, so he'll finish the year down there unless an injury brings him back. Right-handed pitcher Stevie Inmanuels had his contract selected. He'll be making his MLB debut upon his next start, which is actually today. Considered a top prospect within the organization, so I do like him moving forward. He's 25, so he's on the older verge, on the verge of older as far as debuting is concerned. He's got plus stuff, average movement, but his control is below average, well below average. The pitch mix is okay-ish. Potentially, I don't really see him as a starter moving forward next year. He'll have a go around, see if he can if his control can go up, and maybe get a little better fastball. I'll consider him a starter, but for now, I think he'll get his shot for the rest of this month. But next year, I think he'll be a valuable asset as a long reliever out of the bullpen. We don't really have any long relievers right now. Well, I guess aside from Joe Boyle, I'd like to have at least two, and he's definitely potentially down there. Someone that can eat up innings. He's got 55 stamina, so you're talking about a mop-up guy in case your starter gets blown up or an injury happens and you got to put somebody in the third inning. That's something that he should be capable of doing. Kind of struggled this year at AAA. 5.81, a 5.81 ERA is not very good, and that's definitely a large sample size. You're talking about pretty much the entire season. The home run ball is hurting him. He's walking, of course, as expected, at a pretty high rate. Striking out fine, but giving up home runs over one per game, and of course, walking 5-6 per 9 is not good stat wise. But it's 25, and we got to give him a chance. We'll see what he does. And then right-handed pitcher Luis Medina had his contract selected, also considered a top prospect within the organization. And there's Lewis here. Not quite as good as far as the ceiling, in my opinion. He's got a average stuff, just above average movement, but again, the control is his issue. He's got a solid pitch. He'd be better if he dropped his changeup. Again, another one of those instances where I wished we had the option to drop a pitch. If it's just, he's got 3 pitches that would be above average or better. Get rid of your changeup that's not doing anything. You got a curveball and you got a slider, so there's some off-speed stuff there. You got such an elite fastball. You could pair it with your plus slider and still have an off-speed curveball. The changeup is hurting you. You're throwing nearly 100 miles an hour. But again, going to give him a chance. Another 25-year-old. Similar, he's had some play last year, but similar to Emmanuel's, not a strong-looking AAA campaign this year. A 5.12 ERA. That's in 15 games. Only 10 of them main starts. Looks like he was injured to start the year, or got injured during the year, because his inning count is fairly low. Again, home run balls is an issue. Same thing in the walks. Not as bad, but still an issue. And he doesn't strike out as many guys, which is expected. And then I ended up third baseman Brett Harris was demoted to AAA Las Vegas. Not doing much for me. Started off okay-ish, but just couldn't find his footing. Left fielder Estuary Ruiz was recalled from AAA Las Vegas. He is somebody that I do like. I would like to see him get better and be a valuable asset to this lineup. Where is he? I think his batting versus lefties, not so much against righties. Because defensively, he's elite. I love that he's really good defensively at left field. I mean, I know it's not as important out in the left field, but it's just this part here is so good. If he can just get on base better, just get on base at a higher clip, hit a little high, get a better average. His average, I've always thought would be better than what it is. He's just having trouble because with his defensive capabilities and our rating being so low in defense, it would help us. It would help us to have someone that's elite level at a position somewhere on the field. Just be good. And this is just what I like. I love this about him. Like, he would be so dangerous if he could just get on base. So we'll let him finish off the year here. He wasn't really doing all that great at AAA. Was struggling for me, as you can see, really struggling for me. AAA was, again, struggling there as well, compared to the competition and his skill set. Still hitting just 242 down there. The on base plus slugging is not that great, but he's not really a slugger. Did he steal bases down there? He's stolen bases again. 35. Okay, so not bad. Like, he's good. I think he could be better if he could just hit a little better. Third baseman Miguel Andujar was demoted to AAA Las Vegas. Again, another guy that's probably not part of the future. But the most exciting player, is center fielder Denzel Clark, 90th ranked prospect in baseball, had his contract selected. He'll be seeking to make his MLB debut. He began the year at AA and earned a promotion mid-season and continued to hit well at the AAA, although he'll need to cut down on the strikeouts to be more effective at the MLB level. He would be Rule 5 draft eligible this December, so adding him to the 40-man was going to happen anyway. But his play has been good enough to warrant the move to the 40 and the promotion. So, in my opinion, so he was going to get added either way, and the fact is he is playing good enough to earn the promotion. He's a center fielder, so it looks like he's going to take Estuary's spot. He can play left, center, or right. Although I think I have guys in the right field that are a little more suited for right field with their arm. Again, he's another one of those guys where if he can get his improve that avoid case, get your eye up a little bit, so you're getting on base slightly higher, and your average isn't 210. Because he was hitting well, like he was slugging well, but the average is extremely. 200 is really low. Get it up to at least the 240s, 250 range, and still keep hitting home runs and doubles. And of course, his elite stealing ability, his elite speed, and his good defense. He's a good defender in center field. So he doesn't have to be an elite offensive bat. Provide this kind of value offensively, I think we got a good defender at center field, dangerous on the base pass, and looks like he could be a factor in offense. So I am excited to see what it does. Like I said, he started up at AA where he played a significant number of games and was absolutely crushing it down there. He ended up hitting 20 home runs in just 83 games. So imagine if he stayed down there. AAA, not as dominant, but still very, very good. The average really dipped down in AAA, as you can see, striking out 38 times in 35 games. But very similar to AA as well. As you can see, 89 strikeouts in 83 games. So the strikeout rate was pretty high in both. I'd like to see him steal more bases, though. Not really. I guess he's not that aggressive, 55, but still. Not a lot of stolen bases. Just 16 combined. But he's a power speed guy, which is awesome. And is a good defender, too. So he's got all three factors of the game. He can hit, he can play good defense, and is dangerous on the base pass. Somebody that I'm looking forward to, and hopefully could be a big part of the roster moving forward next year. So this team does have some exciting young players that could make a difference come next year. A lot of Canadians, too, I noticed. Naylor is also Canadian. So that's the transactions of note. Let's take a closer look at the pitching. Kyle Muller has actually really done well. He's brought his ERA down all the way to 5.72. Just slowly, just with good starts, although the last one was not quite as good. As you can see here, he lasted just 2.2 innings, giving up 4 runs on 4 hits. 3 of them home runs. The long ball just killed him in that game. But the games before, he got 2 real solid performances here. And even a 5 inning, he's been solid. really improved. Possibly, let's see here. I mean, yeah, I envision. I think if he plays like this, he can finish strong. Definitely someone that could start for us next year. I don't feel like there's any reason why he can't. J.P. Sears, he's maintaining his below average ERA there. Same thing with Adrian Martinez. At one point, these guys looked really good. Now they're just looking okay-ish. We'll still let them finish out the rest of the year. I do like them both because of their plus control, and they're good. They're not strikeout guys, but they're good enough. And eventually, as I get better pitching, they'll either be moved on, or even if they're 4 or 5 guys or slide over to the bullpen, I can live with that. The relievers, Fernando Cruz is now operating as the closer. A lot of my bullpen arms have just kind of fallen off. I don't know what's happened to them. Maybe it's just as the year wore on, their arm wore off or got worn out. Because I really didn't have a high number of injuries in the bullpen. So perhaps too many innings for some of these guys that never played that many innings. It's hard to tell because, the closer looks good, 2.89. But I've barely been able to use him since I've got him. I've only been able to use him for 9 innings since I acquired him back in June, July. I can't remember when I acquired him. I guess I can look. Got him back in June 1st, and yet he's barely played. In 3 months, June, July, and August, I've got 9 innings out of him. Although Gerardo Reyes has been a pleasant surprise for us. It's nice to see that our bullpen for next year could look pretty solid. Fernando, he's got still elite level stuff, even though he's 34. Gerardo Reyes, considered a top prospect because he did start the year in the minors. His stuff has fallen off a little bit, but he's still a solid pitcher. Mason Miller, he should be better than what he is. He's just hit kind of a snag over the past month. As you can see here, it seems like every time I put him in, he gives up a home run. Or not a home run, but at least a run. 3, 2, 1. Like, he just seems to consistently give up runs as of late. Michael Kelly is just a run machine. It's like Halloween candy with him. Aside from this one game here, he's just giving out at least a run to everybody. Scott Alexander, I love his control. I think that there is some value with that in my bullpen to have somebody that has elite level control. But even then, I feel like he's walking a ton of dudes. Yeah, 4 guys per. Like, it doesn't really make sense to me. How are you walking 4 guys per 9? Like, why is your walk rate so high? You're not supposed to be giving up too many hits. Giving up too many walks. He's got 65 control, yet he seems to be walking a dude every game. It just seems like it doesn't match very well. He's not striking anybody out. That's pretty accurate. Francisco Perez, solid ERA. And looks like he could still be a little better. Again, one of those guys with the control is the issue. But he looks solid. Jerson Moreno, same thing, solid ERA. Average ERA, but this is his first look at sustaining the bullpen. And they've been good enough all year to stay there. The control is going to always be an issue. Austin Adams, at one point, was looking really good. He actually had, I think, an ERA in the 2s, but just had a few blowups. 3, 4, and 2-run games where you don't even finish, like especially this one, where you don't even finish the inning. It really inflates your ERA, and he's had a couple of those. His issue, of course, will always be control. He's really good. I do plan on keeping him. So I think I have potential in the bullpen to have a solid bullpen. If just the starting rotation can pick up the slack just a bit. And of course, Joe Boyle made the move back into the bullpen. Just starting is not for him. Perhaps next year, but not this year. Statistically, probably one of the worst offenses. Only thing we're good at is stealing bases and base running. Runs against the worst. Starters the year way worst. Bullpen's the bottom third. Even if you factor in the fielding, it's still, take out the fielding, it's still worst ERA. Not even striking out that many guys. Defense were pretty bad. So all across the board, we're really bad, except for two things I can kind of control, which is how many bases we steal. So just not a good team. Lineups. See if anybody's doing anything great. Brent Rooker has really been solid for me all year long, as he has in real life too. Should be on my team next year as our everyday first baseman. Currently 22 homers, still on pace for 26. So it looks like a 25-30 season if he can get his stolen bases up as well. So a good power and speed. Well, not really speed, but a good power and stolen base mix there. And then Armando Alvarez has been a pleasant surprise for us. Yes, he's a top prospect, but he's doing just enough to. He hasn't played that many games. Just now reached 100 at bats, but he's batting over 300, which I don't think is sustainable for him. But you never know. The TCR could be playing a factor here, and eventually I'll see him be better than what he is. But he was playing well at the AAA level as well. Not a home run guy. He's been solid. So I think he's going to get a chance to play next year as well. Abraham Toro has been solid ever since he came back from the minors. He's been solid. Zach Gelof, of course, like I said, is currently my favorite player. Although Denzel Clark could overtake him if he starts playing some significant time. And so could Estuary. I mean, he's got the potential, but I think right now it's still Zach Gelof, my favorite Oakland player. He looks solid, and he's not. He won't get the 100 stolen bases more than likely. That injury kind of slowed him down there. He's only going to end up playing roughly 125 games, give or take, depending what happens moving forward. But still a solid player, having a pretty solid season after debuting last year. A little bit of a drop-off from what he did in real life, but I think he's actually dropped off a bit this year as well in real life. But as you can see, there's some young guys here, so the potential is perhaps there. We just need some time. Like Max Schumann is another top prospect, even though he's 27. But again, I like this part here. And every now and then he shows up and just plays really well. But he's a platoon guy. Who else do we have? I expect Mauricio Dubon to play better for us next year. Hopefully. But that's pretty much it. I mean, we're just trying to end the year on a high note, figure out how my young guys look, and that perhaps next year we can find ourselves in a much better position than being 48 and 88 come September. So that's it for this video. We'll see you at the end of this month and the end of the regular season.